So welcome everyone to our webinar about the updates to performance analytics and performance insights, two of our reporting products. If you have no idea who these wonderful waffling heads are, I'm Derry, I'm the CEO and co-founder here at OneUp, and Adam, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Adam, I'm the VP of Product at OneUp, so I look after the roadmap and all the bunch of feedback that we get from our lovely clients and also internal team, and then try to prioritise what we should work on next.
Your introduction was far more professional than mine, and that's exactly why I bring you along to these things, Adam. So on the next slide here, more like a little intro to OneUp for those who don't know who we are. If you're not a customer, for example, or maybe you're fresh to it and you've been sent along to come and sit on this webinar by someone inside of your team, hello and nice to meet you. We are OneUp. We are a performance management platform for recruitment agencies. We work with about 350 agencies all around the world, mainly based here in the UK, but we go as far as Australia, out to America. We've had clients in Tokyo, South Africa, you name it. It seems to be pretty much everywhere at this point, which is great. We've been at this now for over a decade or so, which means we've got a lot of experience in what we do. And to give you more of an idea about that, to talk about the problem that we try and solve for recruitment teams, I think if you hear the word KPIs, you either love them or you hate them, right? Regardless of which side of history that you stand on, the data that sits behind those KPIs is what I call unrefined gold. There is so much insight inside of it, yet so many agencies really struggle to get the maximum use out of it, right? The big challenge that many relate to is not being able to get much done because they haven't got the tools to do that with. So what do? They resort to things like spreadsheets. They have to get really tedious work done in pulling all this data together. Very rarely is it real time because it's a couple of days late by that point. And therefore data adoption across the business is really, really low. And managers, consultants, whoever else are largely acting off a little bit of gut or what they think is right, or if they're very, very organized, a very neat and tidy to-do list. The problem with that, though, is it means that there's very slow, or even worse, no decisions being made that really have an impact on business trajectory. That's what we're setting out to change. And as for the solution we have, in case you haven't seen it before, what we essentially do is get data from your CRM, your calling solution, and so on and so forth in real time. Our aim then is to help you both understand the data better and then use it to drive team performance, coming back to that whole decision-making thing I spoke about a second ago. We've done this really well today, but we've got some really cool stuff on the horizon that we'd love to share with you guys. Adam will kill me if I talk about it on this webinar, so I'll save it for the next one potentially. For now, what we're going to talk to you about today, though, is the real reason you've all turned up, and for a much more exciting person to start talking, is to go through what's changed inside of the product. So Adam, over to you, and the CEO will shut up.
Thanks, Derry. I could have listened to that all day, but here we go. So let's just recap. Really, this year we've released, earlier in the year we released Performance Analytics, which was a real overhaul of the reporting we offer. We added a bunch of new features, including the ability to look at minimum, maximum and average metrics, to filter the data, to share the reports, to split things by period. And we went through several rounds of improving the design as well. I think we got to the point where it's a great foundation on which we can build the rest of our reporting out. We also have launched our Performance Insights product. So this was really previously OneUp, for those who aren't familiar, would report on users within, say, the consultants within a business, the teams of consultants, and then the company, and then the companies within the group, if you're lucky enough to be part of a big recruitment group. And we introduced later the Performance Insights product. So this added the ability to report on clients, specific jobs or candidates, as well as understand the last activity against them. I'm going to talk about, in fact, we're both going to talk and demo Job Pipeline, which is our brand new feature that we're adding to Performance Insights. And that is also including time to fill. So really, we've got a core reporting suite that's available to all our clients. And then we have the Performance Insights add-on, which really lets you dig in deep and kind of identify new opportunities. So we don't want to just talk at you for this session. So I'm going to give you a moment to scan the QR code or go to slido.com, and that number link is in the chat. Then the idea is that we're going to ask you some questions. You get a chance to interact with us. Please be kind. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. So I hope everyone has that now. So first question we're asking you is, what's the main reason your team fails to fill jobs?
Oof, very raw one. Almost like saying why are things not going well. I mean, I think we all know at the minute it's largely on the market, right? But as a guess, if I was to hazard some guesses on this one, I would point at things like competition. Largely people are dropping their fees elsewhere in the market, right? Means that you're having to worry about the competition that comes from that. You think you've got a job to fill and you're just like, cool, we're going to fill it. Someone comes in with 3, 4, 5% lower rates, and that means you're then suddenly screwed. On the other side of things, sometimes it can come down to clients being difficult. I think we can imagine backdoor hires. I think all of us have experienced that at some point. that proves into being a real difficult piece for them as well. And that really falls under the communication piece that you see in there. Lack of candidates at the minute, I think, is also a wonderful example, as mentioned here. I think the issue is that lack of quality candidates for certain quality roles is true. But I think the thing that we're all seeing at the moment, like we put up a job ad for an operations assistant the other day, and inside 4 days we had like 1,000 applicants. There's a lot of people out there looking for roles. Some, one of them, bless her, was she was like a Rio Paralympic champion. Like she's really, really skilled at what she does. So it was crazy to look at the sort of quality we're getting in. People have got PhDs, for example. I posted about it on LinkedIn. It really came as a bit of a surprise.
I think that's definitely kind of a symptom of where the market is right now. I think there's always discussion around kind of whether green shoots are coming on that front, and I think it really depends, from speaking to our clients about what sector you're in, whether you're contract or perm, as to how things are going. It's really interesting though that gone internally is such a huge theme here. I guess you're ultimately competing with those internal teams as well to get the candidates in for the roles, and I wonder how often that the question around commissions would come into this as to whether you hire someone who's applied through your own portal, or whether you'd go to the person, the great candidate that the recruiter's given you.
The whole internal piece can be two sides to it, right? Like we see ourselves as a tech company, like, LinkedIn hiring is, very cheap for us to do. One model that we've tried recently is embedded TA. So rather than going like the conventional path of using like a traditional external recruiter, we've tried to bring one internally and see how that works out. And that's our first try at giving this a go. But I know a few years ago, there was a massive movement inside the recruitment industry, especially here in the UK, where companies were starting to say, we're not a recruitment agency, we're a talent partner, right? And that was we're not just going to sit here and ding a bunch of CVs at you. We're also here now to work alongside you, really understand the business and coming closer. And the beauty of it, I think, is, we call ourselves, well, I don't in this case, but most people who work in the industry do, we're recruitment consultants. Our job is to get close and really understand our clients' businesses. So that's a really interesting model that, again, we're experiencing for the first time, but I know it's been a growing trend over the last 3 or 4 years.
I think also looking at some of these responses, the clients pulling jobs again is clearly, I think, a symptom maybe of where the market is right now. But actually, too slow comes out to me here as well, and maybe kind of working on poor jobs as well. So how can you understand those jobs which are worth putting candidates forward for? That's
where client reporting, I think, would be really helpful to know which of your clients are ultimately wasting your time. The ones that you feel like, they're really successful, we get the most jobs from them. That's great, but if over half your team are then having to be involved to try and fill those jobs because the rate of them accepting CVs from you or even coming back to you in good time is in the gutter, basically, there probably is actually a much more efficient client for you to work with that may not make you as much money, but at least you aren't having to expend as much resource to get it done.
For sure. Okay, so let's. I'm going to move us on to we're actually now going to jump straight into the demo. So the plan for this is we're going to just briefly recap some of the new features which have been delivered in Performance Insights. We're then going to spend a fair bit of time on our new job pipeline feature, which we're really proud of and looking forward to showing you. And then we're going to show you something which actually no one outside of OneUp has seen yet. So hang on for that. Right, okay. Time for the
tech switch over. We love
screen
it.
juggling, yeah, tech switch over. Always.
What I'm quite excited about, I haven't actually seen tons of this new stuff. I deliberately try and keep myself somewhat at a distance. So when I do look at it for the first time, I'm like, here's ideas that I've got on the back of this. So I'm quite keen to see what you got for us today, actually.
Okay, well, this should be reasonably familiar. So
it is.
Within Performance Insights, as I mentioned, we've got client reporting. So we've actually introduced the ability in PI to report on clients, jobs, and candidates. So here's a typical client report. You can see we have revenue in here. We have conversion metrics. So we can see, for example, the first interviews to placements ratio. And we can see the volume of activity against certain metrics as well.
By the way, but anyone watching, I'll be really curious to know if they get really nosy about other people's bookmarks bar. Every time I get on a call and someone's showing the screen, I'm like, ooh, what's on there?
Yeah, mine is, to my shame, is not especially well organised right now.
You've done the classic thing as me, where you start with a bunch of folders, you have best intentions, and then naturally just things have to get put to the front because they're really important, and over time it just gets populated. I'm with you, don't worry. I digress.
Yeah. So somewhat, but it keeps everything interesting. So I think what this report is really good for is understanding which client relationships are the most valuable and identifying opportunities for improvement as well. So if you find that there's a client where you're getting a fair bit of revenue and actually you're not putting a load of effort in terms of work to fill roles, versus ones maybe where you're putting in tons of effort and they're not necessarily getting anywhere. That's really useful information that can help your team prioritize, especially in a difficult market.
Yeah, you look at this sort of stuff here, for example, immediately my eyes are falling towards, like, Crane and Sons having the 1.25 to 1 ratio is really good. Like, they're basically putting interviews forward that they believe are successful and they're getting hired. Whereas in the case of someone like Miller White, that's a lot of interviews going forward where only one hire has been made off the back of it. Not terrible if it's just the one job to fill. But of course, if that's across multiple jobs, that is a lot of candidates going through to interview that you're then having to manage, like I spoke about earlier on, and keep in touch with and chase the client for feedback on. Those are the kind of things that can really drain resource fast.
And for those who aren't familiar, it's really simple. If you just want to add in another metric, such as first interviews arranged, in fact, we have that in there twice. So let's change this one to the maybe look at the minimum first interviews arranged over that period.
In a given day, I imagine that'll show.
Probably wasn't the best time period to pick, because there's not loads of demos. Maybe put this over the course of a month. And we can also sort by this column as well. Let's make it.
And that will then show you in a given month then what is the lowest number that have been arranged for a certain client, right?
Exactly.
Got it.
So, as I mentioned, we also report on jobs, again, providing a very similar approach where you can look at the jobs down the left, you can group them by client as well. But we also have candidate reporting. And I'm not going to dwell too much on the jobs because we're going to talk about job pipeline today, and there might be a bit of kind of overlap there. So here we have the candidate reporting. So here's one of our candidate reports you can build. This has got kind of last contract starters, so when they last started their contract, and alongside the number of contract finishes as well against each of these specific candidates. So the benefit of this really is about managing your talent pool. I know you're calling back to the poll earlier, actually having quality candidates to put forward and using these kind of reports. And again, you can pull in any of your metrics that have performance recorded against a candidate here. It's a great way to kind of manage and find out who your best candidates who may be up for, next for placement.
Question from me then would be, if I know that inside my CRM I've got the phone number for these candidates or the emails that I might want to draw a list out of OneUp, for example, I don't know, sort by those that I haven't spoken to for the last 6 months, for example, would I be able to pull that sort of thing out and then have that as my BD list for the day? Well, not really a BD list, sorry, more like a candidate check-in call list. Is that something I can do?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that works is depending on your CRM setup, we can map the fields. So in this case, we have a contact email address. Let's pull that in. And maybe let's get a job title as well, so that's always quite useful. Now imagine I'm trying to fill a role, maybe group it by job title, so we can find all of the people who have that specific title. We can also we've got their details here. We can sort it by the last time they were contacted. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways that you can cut this data. You can also filter the data as well. For example, you just want the ones where there's a metric value of maybe greater than or equal to 1. We can just put that in there and filter the list down.
Got it. And those are the films finishing this year, essentially, the ones that I should reach out to, knowing that their placements come into an end this year, and I need to make sure they've got a new one to go into.
Exactly.
Makes sense. So I imagine for many contract recruiters, especially those that are listening and watching as well, like, there's always that worry of, can we maintain our contract book? Do we know who's finishing? Are we making sure that they're either having their placement extended or they're going into a new one straight after? I think the last thing anyone wants is just to see that number whittling down, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's just a really quick whip through of what we've already delivered in Performance Insights this year. But let's jump into the job pipeline. So this job pipeline is brand new. All of our clients who currently have Performance Insights or who are on the Performance Insights trial, more about that later, will get access to this soon. So let's just quickly run through what we have here. We've got the total number of candidates at each stage of the process. And in fact, if I just hover over this, you can see how many total candidates versus unique candidates there are, and also how many clients there are opportunities for at this stage. And
so just to clarify the difference there, those 21 or so candidates that fall below, because they're unique in this case, they'll be in multiple processes, which is ideal, right?
Exactly, yes. I mean, if you've got some good candidates, you want to maximise your chance of placing them, then you're going to be putting them forward for multiple roles. So we've got the graph showing number of candidates each stage. We also have time to fill, which is a new feature on the platform. So This is very much maybe we'll filter this down to just placed for now. So where we have a placement, we can see how long it took to fill specific roles as well.
And that's a big one for so many people, right? Like, there's a question I asked actually earlier on in one of the WhatsApp group chats I've been through. Reckwire, one of our partners, was when you're looking at time to fill around multiple positions, do you use the first placement date? Do you use the last placement date? Do you use the average of all of those? That's something we're still discussing a little bit internally as an idea, and that's why I asked the question. But I know time to fill has been so sorely wanted for so long.
So another feature we have.
My meowing cat is back, by the way. She's now sat at the door screaming at me.
Bless her. So we've got the ability to filter this as well. So if you're a team manager and you want to see the activity by a specific consultant, which job they're working, or maybe for your whole team, let's pick we'll pick the perm team on this occasion. I think we can just filter this down and just see the activity and the jobs being worked by that perm team right now and the status of each.
This just came in actually. I've been watching Slido on the left hand side. There's two questions, one of which I imagine we'll come to, so I'll save it. But the other one is, can you show a list of those candidates in multiple processes? So can you see who they are? Or maybe even more importantly, who they aren't? Because I'd like to know who are the ones that are only sat in one process.
That's a really good question. I don't think we actually have the ability to filter it down like that yet. But it's something we're definitely looking at doing in future. Where was I going? Okay, so you've also got the ability to filter this pipeline by client as well. So if you want to look at say you've got a bigger client, you're managing multiple jobs for them, you can look at what that looks like, and you can filter it down to specific job titles as well. You can also look at when the job was added. So if a job was added in the last 6 months, you'd hope it would be filled by now. But again, it allows you to look at historic performance, or also filter down to maybe the ones added in the last week, which perhaps you have the highest chance of filling because they're fresh. Perhaps there are fewer people in the process at this stage. Probably didn't pick the best given the data in this test environment, but we'll scratch that for a second. So yeah, you can filter this down based on the data available.
This quarter I think will be about 8 days, won't it? Yeah, you got no chance.
Yeah. Typical. Let's jump onto the other tab. So we have this totals tab, and we also have time since last activity as well. So again, this view is about understanding how many when did someone last do something on each of these jobs. So you can sort by last activity, and we can see that the last activity was actually 42 minutes ago by Alana. It looks like she sent a CV.
Okay,
so again,
basically with this, you could look at jobs that have been ignored for a number of days or even worse, weeks, right? And be saying to the team, hey, you're the owner of this job. Like, why is it stuck?
Exactly. This government social research officer for Cole Moses is not looking good with 180 days of activity.
Yeah, that's a dead job. That's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. So, interestingly enough, though, the status, and this will be pulled through directly from the CRM, so anyone who's not familiar with how OneUp works, we integrate with CRMs, voice over IP, and timesheet portals, amongst other things, and pull the data through. So then you can view it in this reporting and get the latest information all in one place. So, really though, just to recap, the benefit of this is that it's about understanding the status of each job, the volume of candidates at each stage, and when you last worked on them. So again, it's a suite of tools that should allow you to maximise your potential ability, or the likelihood, should I say, of you filling that job.
Question from me, and this is a genuine question. Are we going to have the ability to export this table here that appears at the bottom? If I wanted to take this offline, for example, and show it to someone else in the business that maybe isn't on OneUp, or if my board want to see it, for example. And genuinely, I don't know the answer to this. It's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so we are going to do that. And something with a lot of our reports on the platform, you can currently save them. You can't save the job pipeline, though. So, but we're adding that ability, and when we can add saving, then we're going to be adding exports as well. Cool. So that's something that we haven't done yet. The other thing that we are going to be doing, and for those, again, who aren't super familiar with OneUp, we have dashboards as well for each consultant or each manager or leader within the recruitment organisations. And here we have the ability to pull up certain metrics on the dashboard. And we are actually going to be adding a dashboard widget in the future as well for the job pipeline. So a consultant will be able to see their own pipeline, the latest jobs or jobs requiring attention that they need to work on. So looking at this, let's just filter this down by job status again, maybe to accepting candidates. So again, you can see the status of these and the sort of last activity against each. We also show last activity at metric level as well. And what I would say is, if these pipeline stages don't represent what you're used to, actually this pipeline is completely customizable. So you can pick what stages are relevant to your company. And so for example, if you operate in a sector where there are a lot of further interviews and you have those broken out, you can add those in as stages as well. If you want something simpler than this, you can also customize it down to that. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we are with the job pipeline right now. And we're always continuously developing the platform, as well as we've discussed around the saving and exporting. So we will always, once we've got this out in front of our clients, we'll always be taking feedback and looking to improve.
Cool. Okay.
Awesome.
A big question, because I've had this come through twice as well. When would this be available to those that either are on the PI trial or those that have already bought it? What's the story there?
It should be out by next week.
By next week means released on Friday, or are you pushing sooner?
It may. So I'd say, let's say Monday for now. It may be sooner. We had a couple of issues that we wanted to fix, full transparency, before it went live. We have cracked that now. So it's really, we've got all the comms ready. We've got it really much ready to go. So I'd say you can safely rely on it being out by next week, but it may be out sooner.
Nice. Okay. I was going to say I would push you there for an exact date, because I can imagine people have said, just give me a date, Adam. But okay, holding you to Monday. If it's not, adam.bp@oneupsales.co.uk, you can get in his inbox and scream at him.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm sure. Thanks for that, Derry. I'm sure that will definitely help with the number of spam emails. Awesome. Okay, so that's where we are with the job pipeline. So as I kind of teased earlier, we've got some brand new features which we're working on. Now, what's interesting about these new features is these are actually going to be for all of our clients, not just those on Performance Insights. So anyone with Performance Analytics or Performance Insights will have this. It'll be better if you have Performance Insights for various reasons, which I'll explain in a moment. So on this report menu, those of you who use a platform already probably familiar with the Create Report button. However, if I go here to create chart, this is being
Adam, quick question before you push on past job pipeline that someone's asked. Can you use drill down on job pipeline?
Yes, you should be able to. It's turned off currently in the
so it'll work by Monday, right?
Where we are now. But yes, it is there. It's also it was recently introduced to Performance Insights as well.
Got it. Cool.
So in fact, if I just jump over onto here, Performance Insights, in fact, I'll just do it as a job report because I think that might be more useful in this case. Yeah, that's fine. So let's go for first interviews arranged, CV sent. So we've got a bunch of different jobs here, and then we can. So for example, for this one, we've had 7 CV sent, so we can drill down, and then we can see the activity over time. We can actually see the data behind the data, so to speak. So we can see the list of candidates.
And you'll be able to do that on job pipeline as well when that's turned on.
Yes,
great.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. And you'll also you can actually, as well as doing it from the pipeline itself, you will also be able to do it from the graph at the top as well. So on these tooltips where we show a number of candidates and number of clients for everyone at that stage, you can drill down and see the data behind it as well.
Nice. Got all the questions that are worth asking as well while we're here. Will consultants be able to see their own pipeline on their dashboard, or is this locked away for managers only?
We are going to build a dashboard widget which will be for consultants to see their own pipeline.
Nice.
I would say as well, so we're going to have, this will be a separate permission to the rest of the reporting. What I would say is if you have a team who you feel can be trusted to look at their own data, actually, and that applies to all of our reporting as well, we can change the permissions so you can actually just give them access to it.
Nice. I love this question, by the way. When will Data Insights be the first window on the drill down menu rather than the chart?
So come again.
when you only click on drill down at the minute it opens the chart first, and you have to go into Data Insights afterwards. When will Data Insights be the first tab?
So I'd say probably 2 to 3 weeks from now.
Nice.
We've got a level of redesign of this. We're updating these charts to use something I'll show you in a moment. So we're actually going to combine that with the insights table. It's not going to be tabbed anymore. It's all going to appear at once.
Sweet.
So you'll be able to see everything. You'll also be able to collapse the chart if you don't want to see it. But yeah. That is actually coming. That's kind of a small quality of life improvement we're doing amongst all the other things.
Ideal. Nice. And Alicia also asked the question. I'm going to keep on throwing these at you, and then we'll go through the charts piece. I'll stick after this one, I promise you. Is there any way to get live dashboards as displayed here to feed into the slideshow? And I know the answer to that right now is no, but maybe in the future?
Yes, so the answer to that right now, admittedly, is no. This might be... You know what, actually, we are going to be rebuilding gamification, so the competitions on the platform and TVs. I'm not going to promise any timescales yet, but we're currently expanding our investment in engineering. We've got a couple of roles out, as Derry alluded to earlier, and the reason we're doing that, we want to expand our team, and we are going to overhaul those parts of the platform. The benefit of that is suddenly a lot of the new features that we've released, so like performance insights, some of the benefits of the new reporting, job pipeline, we're going to look at how we can bring all of that to the TVs.
Nice.
And also potentially have competitions on, focused on specific clients as well.
Oh, I'm so proud of you, Adam. Normally you're so protective of info like that, and now you basically said, "Bugger it, here's the info. We're doing it."
Yeah, we are doing it. I've got to admit, the rebuild of our competitions is probably a bit of a meme internally. I know it's been promised a lot internally over the years. Perhaps I was a little bit prior to my time, but I've definitely thrown it out there at one of our meetups. For those who aren't familiar, like OneUp, we are fully remote, but we get together for kind of regular meetups, and it's one of those things. But yeah, we're doing it. We're gonna rebuild competitions. We're gonna rebuild TVs, and we're gonna bring some of these new features like job pipelines there as well as addressing a bunch of other feedback. For example, recurring missions and leagues. As anyone who's got access to product boards here and has seen all of our client feedback on that, we're going to do that as well. You know what? We will do a future webinar where we get into a bit more once we've got more of it designed.
Whoa, hold your horses! Don't promise too much now, Adam. Whoa.
Another webinar. Just getting we will go into more detail on that, but we are gonna address those things. We're conscious that parts of the platform like reporting have moved on a lot recently, and we want to catch the rest of the platform up.
I am definitely renaming these webinars to Interrogate Adam. That feels like what it all is going to become now. Let's take a bunch of questions and I'll sit there and grill you on the behalf of everybody else. But I've dragged you around for enough now. I'll ask some more questions in a little bit. Do you want to show the other new stuff that's come in?
Yeah. Okay, so we're building a new charts feature. Few of our clients have actually got access to our legacy charts feature, which was done a few years ago. But this new charts feature looks pretty bare at the moment, and I will jump into some slides in a moment and show you a lot more about what's coming. So we're looking at something that's kind of bleeding edge right now. No clients have access to this. We are in the middle of building it. If I really want, actually, I'm not going to jump onto Jira because we probably have like bugs on there with client names. But suffice to say, we are actually actively building this right now. So we've got one of these chart variants. So let's go. Okay, we want to create a chart. Well, normally we'll have more options, and I'll show you those in a moment. I'm just going to click this. Let's pick some metrics. For those of you who've used our platform, you're going to be familiar with this. We've got the total metrics, min, max, average, all those kind of things. So let's go for maybe CV sent as well.
I like how updates is adding things in. Like, I genuinely didn't know it does that. That's really cool.
Okay, so instantly, after clicking a couple of metrics, we have this chart already. We're looking at data over the last month. We're looking at companies. Maybe we'll go down to users and let's have a look at everyone within the perm team, for example.
Ooh, nice.
So again, we can see we've got on this specific chart, and we've got multiple chart types coming. I'll touch on those in a moment. We actually have these different metrics, and we have the consultants within that team visible as well. So there's plenty more options and actually features coming to this as well. And again, in fact, let me jump back into the slides because that will probably tell more of the story. We'll put a bit more of a framework around it. So, okay, cool. So charts. We're looking to release this to clients. It will be a gradual thing over the course of November. And here we have the different charts that we're offering. So we're actually offering 6 core chart types, and we've got 4 which are available as bar or line charts, and we have 2 which are available as pie charts. And each of these has a different purpose. We'll have different things on the x-axis, different series displayed, and different filters available as well. So for example, comparing metrics over multiple time periods, I think anyone who looks at a presentation with Charleston, there's usually one of those in there. comparing entities during a time period. So that was the one I just showed you, looking at how different people within the team are performing. But that doesn't necessarily need to be users. That could be clients if you have performance insights as well, because all the performance insights data, if you have PI, will be available in here. We also have comparing entities on a single metric, and we have comparing metrics over time. So there's also these pie charts, which we will follow up with as well. So I sat down earlier and calculated based on the different number of configuration options. Excluding colours, there are 4,848 different types of charts you can make using our tool.
Jesus. Okay.
Which is, should be...
I look forward to getting to 3,700 and then just giving up.
That's not like you, Derry. You've got to push it to below it. I think we just need to do some kind of like montage of cheesy 80s music at some point with you trying to do every single chart variant. And then you can spend a week doing that. I
just age more progressively. I look more haggard as time goes by. Absolutely, yeah.
We'll compress it into like a 20-second reel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different options coming. Actually, if we include the 9 colour schemes that we're bringing to this, technically there are 43,632 different combinations that you can bring with the current options we're releasing.
That previous idea of sitting down and doing the montage does not sound so fun anymore. We'll swerve that one.
You could delegate it, Derry.
Yeah, Adam, would you like to do that, would you? Huh?
I'm sure marketing won't mind. This is where we get cut off. For example, you're going to be able to show targets on these charts. You're going to have the option to show data labels. You can show or hide zero values. You'll be able to stack the bars or display the bars in different ways. You'll be able to switch it to a line chart. You'll be able to pick from these 9 beautiful colour schemes that we've created, all of which are accessible. So if you've got people in your team who maybe are colourblind, we can get around that. You have the different reporting periods. Didn't include that in the number of variants because, of course, that would add 365 or so. And you also have different levels of granularity. So if you want to see performance daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually, you can do all of that.
Cool.
You're also, those of you familiar with how report sharing works, it's going to be exactly the same in charts as well. So they're going to be available in the report manager. You're going to have them, you can restrict them to specific people or offer company-wide access. You'll be able to share with colleagues. You'll be able to export. We're going to do PNG, SVG, and PDF. So if you want to drop those into a presentation or a brochure, you're going to be able to do that. And a little bit later, probably not for the first release of this, we're going to allow people to schedule those charts to go out via email.
Nice. And that'll be similar to how the current stuff works with performance analytics, right? You choose something that you've saved, and then you can say, right, each week or each day or whatever, send this out via email, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
We've tried with charts as kind of as part of the new performance analytics, performance insights reporting suite that we've created. So there's everything should work in a really similar way. And we've tried to reuse as much as possible, which kind of keeps it simple, cuts the time to learn to use it and get value from it.
Cool. Sounds good.
And finally, those of you
I wrote this code. Horrible.
It's got us this far. But yeah, so those of you lucky enough to be on our legacy charts feature, which we don't typically offer to most people, but kind of it was part of the platform at one point. We didn't want to take it off people either. Actually, we're going to copy all of your existing charts over. So everything will be migrated, and when we release this, then you'll be able to continue to work with those charts, but they'll look a bit snazzier, and you'll be able to do a few new things with them.
Nice.
So, a bit of a question on the theme of charts. Outside of OneUp, what are the charts that you are making yourself today using Excel or other tools?
If I spoke to my FD or to our financial controller, that'd be a long list. We pull out of like we have our SLT meetings, for example. Sometimes those numbers get pulled out, and it can be line charts of revenue over time. It can be headcount over time. Sometimes we'll do bar charts to look at like more individualistic performance over time as well. We have loads that I can think of. God.
Yeah, on a fairly regular basis, I do one around customer satisfaction. Those of you who use our platform see that smiley face survey pop up in the bottom. We do actually use that. We do respond to that feedback as well, especially if any of it's negative. And there's any detail there. But yeah, we constantly analyse that, and that's something I definitely make a chart of on a fairly regular basis to see how things are trending and help prioritise where we focus next.
It's always a big one. We hear about that an awful lot too, which is good.
Well, so far I think everything that's interesting: conversion ratios, time to fill a job, bring on, yep. Discounts, rebates, interviews that didn't make offers. So I don't see anything in here that we won't be able to do based on the insert number here variants I listed before.
The line chart showing runners over time is an expansion of the rolling metrics piece, right? Is that something that we're including inside of charts here as well?
We are going to include rolling metrics, yes.
Sweet.
The plan is that, one of the challenges, I guess, is we have a few different types of metric. So we've got revenue metrics, we've got the conversion and kind of rolling metrics, and we've got just the absolute numbers, right? Like number of CVs sent. So we've been looking at this. We're probably going to have kind of on the y-axis, we might have to have 3 different scales depending on what you choose to plot on the chart. But ultimately, we are looking to get all of that in here. In terms of rolling metrics as well, again, like given that I seem to be promising a lot of features today, we are looking as well at enhancing those in future and actually adding history for rolling metrics as well. We've heard from a lot of our clients in the contract space that would be especially valuable. So looking to do that too.
You're taking all these answers away from you from this poll and basically going to the team and saying, right, every single one of these has to be doable.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think, honestly, given we spent a fair bit of time designing, looking at like different permutations, different charts we kind of anticipate people might want to create, and we've tried to make it as customizable as possible, whilst also balancing it with simplicity. So, those of you watching that part of the charts demo who didn't tune out, again, we were able to get a chart really quickly. But then actually, if you want to customize it, you want to make more of that data, there are all those different filters and options available to do that too.
Show us as well, or is that it for the charts?
That is it for the charts right now. I'm looking forward to, as we finish building the rest of that, looking forward to showing a bit more of that. We'll probably, those of you who are subscribed to our kind of customer communications, we'll probably put out some videos and talk about it as it's coming up. And yeah, we want to get it in front of you as soon as it's ready. Anything standing out to you here, Derry?
We've already spoken about. To be fair, we've obviously gone through a bunch of this stuff ourselves before as well, like super variable. I guess the interesting one will be, and I know this is again me asking a question here that I haven't spoken to you about previously, things like revenue by geography or by vertical will be one that we'll have to look into, I expect, because I think for now at least, slicing by different fields inside of different events is something that you probably associate with PI. So how does that work for those that have got performance analytics and haven't got the PI package on top? Will they be able to get that kind of stuff inside of charts, or is that something we'll think about as an extension for those that do have PI?
I think we can actually add the CRM fields into PA right now as well. So if you've got like a contact field, I'm pretty sure that's something we can add. So
right, okay,
yeah, realistically, it's not going to be there in the first release, but we will look at how we can add filtering and also potentially those fields in as well.
Sounds good, nice.
Because yeah, so if you wanted, got geography or vertical market, maybe not something you did in the first release, but again, if you wanted then to filter everything on a sector field, look at a specific sector, look at a specific geography, then I don't see why not.
I love the one answer in the middle there, by the way. What charts do you make yourself today? Many. I respect that. I respect that. That's the kind of answer I'd give.
We've got people and working as well, so that's always good.
Nice.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think everyone's finished typing. Who's going to type? So what we're going to do now is move on to, I think it's the Q&A. Oh no, it's the next step slide, fittingly. Ooh. So just to recap, every OneUp client is going to get charts. Whether you're on performance analytics, you will get charts, obviously without some of the clients, jobs and candidates, but you will get it for users, teams and companies. We've also got the, if you want job pipeline, you want performance insights, contact customer success. Again, you'll gain the ability to report on clients, jobs and candidates. You will be able to understand the data which is driving your business. And ultimately, yeah, if just get in touch with customer success. We have some clients who've already bought it. We have some others who are on trials as well. And always really keen to hear your feedback on it and whether it might be right for you. In terms of charts, we're going to get this gradually out to clients during November. As with some of our other releases as well, we kind of break everyone down into a few at a time, just so we can make sure that we give everyone the right support as we launch.
Nice.
If you have the old charts feature, we will get in touch with you, but everything will be copied across. So again, you'll be able to make use of those new features, but you won't have to recreate all your charts again, because that'll be a real pain. Let's be honest. And yeah, if you've got PI, you also gain those features within charts. And again, this isn't one and done. Once it's out, we will take feedback. And as you've seen, probably those of you using performance analytics, we do constantly add to these things as well. And again, I understand there's a few people on here who don't have OneUp already. So You can book a demo today. There might be a link in the chat coming up, possibly.
Or just feel free to DM me and I'll sort it out, no problem.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Click on LinkedIn.
So hope that clears everything up. We'll jump into the questions now. So we've got Louise first. Is this part of the package or an extra cost? Derry, when did this question come in? Was it during
19 minutes ago that came in. That was asking around thing like job pipeline. Essentially, Louise, if you've already got performance insights, you're on a trial for it, like that will be included. It's not an extra thing on top of everything else that we'll charge for here. If you've just got the base OneUp package though, it's not included in that. Job pipeline isn't, but things like charts will be. So there's improvements coming to both sides here.
Okay, great.
I love this next one, by the way.
Can you therefore prompt user when inactivity thresholds are reached? Not yet, but it is actually something that we're currently looking at how we could do. There's a number of different ways that we could go about doing that. Email springs to mind, but also there's things like our Teams integration. So this is a fairly new feature for us, but again, this seems like a logical thing that we will probably get around to adding at some point.
In the new year, if I imagine on our next webinar talking about what we're working on next year, we'll share a bit more insight around this because this does start to lean in a direction of where we really want to take the product. You know, the general philosophy to kind of share a little bit of it is we'd like to be able to come to you with answers rather than you having to come and find answers yourself inside of charts. Now, people love looking at charts, they love looking at reports, completely understandably. But the future we think for OneUp, what we'd love to get to is being able to come to you and say, hey, here's something we spotted, take a look at this, or helping you do things easier, right? That kind of time that you have to invest in looking at data should be less, and doing things about the data should be what you can spend most of your time doing, right? But more on that in the new year. But it's a very exciting development we're thinking about for OneUp.
What timesheet portal do we recommend suitable for small numbers?
I actually went and asked our head of implementation, Carly, because she spends the most time with these systems. I saw it and was prepared an answer. The two that she recommended was timesheet portal or RSM in time. It depends on what you want. If you have something nice and small, then generally timesheet portal is one that she recommends. It's a much simpler setup. RSM, if you've got really complex needs, then definitely take a look at that as well. But those are the two that we'd point to at least for now. I was talking to someone earlier on about this, to be fair, and there isn't an out-and-out leader in that space yet, which is really interesting. I think there used to be a few other players in the space that seem to have somewhat disappeared over the last couple of years. Maybe it's horrifically complex and it's hard to scale a product that's in that area, I don't know. But for now, at least, those are the two that we'd recommend taking a look at based on your needs.
Okay. Addressing those things in 2025, probably yes at this point.
That was about gamification, TVs and things like that.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely in that case, there's quite a bit we've still got committed for this year. But yes, we are definitely starting on like design and discovery for this right now. But realistically, you're likely to see them next year at the current rate of progress. Can you customize the pipeline for everyone and it adds to their account, or do you need to do it individually on each person's account? So right now, if you were to, well, when we launch, should I say, with this, which is pretty soon, you should be able to basically give everyone access permission to view it, and we have existing platform permissions that regulate what data people are allowed to see. So what should happen here is if you just give someone access to it, they should be able to see their own performance. If you give access to a manager, they'll be able to see their team. And obviously our admins or kind of more senior people within our clients should be able to see everything. In terms of adding it to the dashboard later, as I mentioned, we are going to add a dashboard widget. That probably would need to be added individually. But we are also, one of the other changes that we're looking at, no promises exactly on when on this, but we've heard a lot of feedback around our dashboards and potentially adding kind of power tools for managers to be able to manage multiple dashboards and control what people have on their dashboards. So it is an area we are looking at as well. It's just about fitting it in really amongst everything else that we need to do.
And the larger question there, if what Kelly's worried about is do you have to customize what pipeline stages are for each and every person? It's for the overall account as well. So you'll be able to spell, we specify behind the scene for you, the CV sent stage looks like this from your CRM, the interview stage looks like this, the play stage is that, so on and so forth. We map that for you once, then everyone in your company will get the same mapping essentially and build out from there. But it is bespoke to each company, as we're very aware that no two companies are the same. CRMs all work a little bit differently, so there is some flexibility enabled there as well.
Yeah, that's actually also, I think that wasn't my reading of this, but yeah, that makes more sense.
Well, we've given two answers there. One of them will be correct, and we will never know. Kelly,
Exactly.
Don't say a word. I did actually DM Kelly, one of our CMs, to say, is that you asking that question? She was like, no, it's not me. I was like, okay.
Okay, awesome. So thanks everyone so far who's tuned in. Do you have any more questions? Is there anything down in the chat as well? Any questions, feedback, anything else?
No, Callum has done a great job keeping a very eye on that. Producer Callum, as we call him here. He's our marketing manager. We call him Producer Callum when it comes around to webinars and podcasts. And no, he's dealt with a couple of things we've gone through, so nothing else really to raise there. I think that's about it. We're just over time by a little bit, but I guess from me at least, thank you everyone who's come along and watched and stayed till the end. I hope you've enjoyed it and seen what we're working on. Really excited to get these things out, as I'm sure Adam is. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys think.
Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to hearing from you, and obviously, yeah, see you soon on another one of these.
As well.